Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Ray Maisonet, host of Parental Advisory. Today I got a special guest with me, like for real special guest, because one, he's a living legend. He's gonna tell you he's not because he's a humble, nice dude, but I'm gonna tell you he is. Mr. Tony Edwards, right? Assistant coach with Grace Academy. But also been coaching in the game of basketball and other sports, but mainly basketball for 20 plus years. All right, so I'm gonna jump right into it, man. How did you even get into coaching?
My nephew. I was going to the boys clubs to watch games, and all the kids were there playing. Like, he's real young, Melvin Tab, and I would go watch them play on Saturday mornings. And he was really good. You know, he's playing really. It was surprising. And I told his mother, I was like, take him down and try out for the AAU team, because the other kids on the teams played AAU.
Right.
And she was like, I don't know if he that good. I'm like, take him. He's the biggest kid in the gym. You know, take him. Yeah. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so she took him. He made the team. She couldn't do the traveling, so I started traveling with him. And next thing you know, I was coaching.
All right, so been coaching 20 plus years, right? Again, this is Parental Advisory. One of the things or the messages that I want to get across is mainly for parents. Everybody's welcome to hear the message, but I want something for parents to look at and at least try to find answers navigating the whole path of basketball, right? From AAU, high school, college. So one of the questions I want to ask you right now is, like, what are some of the struggles you see or you've seen with parents as they try to navigate basketball with their children, their boy or girl?
I think everyone wants their child to be successful. They want to, you know, when they buy into basketball, like, they're in. And it's the noise, the constant chatter from people who will tell you exactly what you want to hear for their own good. So you have to ask questions. You got to make people uncomfortable, and you can't just say, okay, he said or she said, I'm going to be a success, I'm going to be this. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into this, on and off the court. As a family, you have to pick a direction,
right?
And you have to stick with it. And then you have to understand that people are going to cross your path who are going to be on your path, but they're not going to be there permanently. You know, maybe they're just there to answer a question,
right? Or
maybe they're there to train your child, or maybe they're there to help you in some way, form, and fashion. But it doesn't mean that they're there for the whole journey. And you kind of got to understand that,
right?
Because again, like, you're going to want to hear what makes you happy. Right. It's the people who be the most honest with you who you'll be like, okay. You may not like it, but it's going to help you more, the honesty. Whether you like the answer or not, like, it's really going to help you.
Right.
Because I have no problem with telling people the truth. And you know what? There are levels to basketball. There's the AAU, there's the high school, and then there's an elite level with this as well for those kids who get those scholarship offers and who go play high major. But it doesn't guarantee anything. It just means at the moment they were the child or they were the player. So there is a path to follow. I mean, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I think one of the questions I kind of want to break off of, based on what you just said, was the truth, right? Everybody wants the truth, but nobody wants the truth, right? Like, nobody can really truly handle the truth. Well, not, I don't want to say nobody, but a lot of people, they ask for it, but they don't really want it. They want to hear what they want to hear, right? Which means that over the course of, or over the tenure of your coaching, you've had to say some stuff and know at the end of this conversation, I'm going to lose this player, right? So how do you stick to that? How do you stick to that code of, hey, I'm just telling you, I'm just tell you the truth no matter what?
I have had conversations with players and parents who were playing on my team about going to other teams because they would have better opportunities to develop there, especially at the younger ages. Like, it's a little different when you hit 16s or 17s, but the younger ages, if you're going to be a point guard and you never play with the ball in your hand and you never know how to run a team, you're not going to be a point guard. And it's the same thing with skill development, because basketball is so different now. Like, the big kids are very skilled. So if you want to develop that skill set, like you got to go somewhere young and early where you can play that style of basketball with the ball in your hands and make mistakes. And sometimes parents don't want to hear that because they want to be on the good team, or they want to be on the shoe circuit team, or the team that's getting all the hype right now, versus being on maybe just the team where I can just go play, develop, get better, make a lot of mistakes, but won't be taken out the game for those mistakes.
Right.
And they don't always want to hear that. And everybody wants to hear, yes, I'm going to be a Power 5 kid, or I'm going to be a D1, or I'm going to be a McDonald's. That's not the case.
Right.
That's not the case at all. Like, it's a long path and growth. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. And you have to be dedicated to it. Like, it's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah.
When you tell kids how much time they should be putting in the gym, they look at you like, I no problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when they actually do it and understand it's now a lifestyle, oh no, that's a lot of work. No, let me just go over here and I can be great here.
Right.
I don't do all that.
Right. Because that lifestyle, you're gonna miss a lot of social events, right? The stuff that you grow up with as a normal child, parties, social clubs, also like you don't get to do that if you choose to, or you want to be elite in the game of basketball. Right. That's interesting. So, what advice do you have for parents in finding someone like you, right? Because, again, it's so much easier to gravitate to the people who are saying everything you want to hear versus somebody who is telling you the truth and that just wants nothing but the best for your child. Like, how do you distinguish between that and somebody like you who, like, I know if I go to Tony Edwards, he's going to tell me exactly what, like, he's going to help my kid, whether he's going to be a Power 5 player, a JUCO player, right. He's going to help my kid regardless. Like, how do they find someone like you?
I think, like, when you in the gyms, and that's where you meet people. Like, that's where people come up to talk to you, or you'll talk to them, whether you sit beside them or whatever. And you just have to be open and say, hey, look, this is my child. What do you think? And, do you know anyone who can help me with that? And sometimes it may be your high school coach. It may be your AAU coach, or maybe the coach of the team you're playing. But you just have to learn, watch, and don't be afraid to ask questions. But also know between when someone is telling you the truth or when someone's telling you something to benefit them. And that's hard. That's very hard for parents. Just finding your way in this, like, it's real hard. It's not easy at all. Right. And you have to, the balance between, the hardest balance is for the kids. Because you got basketball. In high school, you get home from practice 8 o'clock, so on and so on. You got to do homework. You got to figure out how to do your training. You're lifting weights. It's a lot of stuff going on. And so your days are done. Like, your weekdays, like, you go to school, practice, homework, bed. Yep. Weekends, you might get some training in. School, you may lift weights. And your life now has become something different than the regular kids who go to school, who hanging out, who going out at night, playing the game all night, playing each other. Like, if you're serious about it, that's not your lifestyle right now. And it changes. And the parents have to understand that too. Because they're like, you're getting home every night, you don't never know. Because parents are different. Some parents want their kids to have that social school life or do the things that other kids do within reason. But then you have the parents who be like, I'm just basketball. Right. Yeah, you're good at, you know what I'm saying? But they don't understand the structure, the scheduling, the work that it takes, the effort on the kids' end. Right. Not just always the parents' end. Yeah, you driving, you picking them up. The weekends, you may be driving to Atlanta, Charlotte, Winston, wherever. Right. And that's the sacrifice that you have to now restructure your life around. Right. Basketball changes everybody's life, but it's a different change for everybody. Right. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. So how do you, say you have a good player, right? And they have a chance to be really good. And they have a parent who, like, does too much in the stands. Do you address the parent directly as well? Like, hey, look, you got to tone that down. Because as we know, right, college coaches not only watch players, they watch everybody around the player. Do you know how to address those parents? And if you do, what do you say to those parents to kind of bring them back in or help them avoid hurting their son or daughter's chance of making it far in basketball?
That's hard because you're telling someone now how to not react to their child. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You want to support them, yes. But when you see something happen in the game or in the stand, you tend to want to address it because that's your child.
Right.
So it's a delicate conversation, but you just have to be direct sometimes and just say, hey, look, your support for your child, like that's what you're supposed to do. But you probably want to tone this down a little bit because now people are talking about you, not your child. You came to see your child. You want other people to see your child. But you're in here as now you're drawing all the attention to yourself. Yeah, no, fine. Be supportive. If you want to talk junk, that's on you. But don't make a spectacle so that people are now saying when you come in the gym, they can identify you before your child because of how you act in the stands. Like your time is gone. You played basketball or you didn't. It's now your child's son. Come in there, support the team, the player, the coaches, the school, whatever. But don't be like, and I've seen them so much. You know, if you see a certain team, oh gosh, their dad or their mom gonna be there. They're gonna be cutting. You know, don't be that parent. Don't be known for that. Right. Because people then when stuff doesn't go well for your child, they're blaming you. They're looking at you. They're talking about you, and now your child has become part of something. He just wanted to play basketball. She just wanted to play basketball, but now you made them a like that kid or that parent. You know, or the kid of that parent.
Right. So going now to focus like on the relationship between parent and child, like you hit on a lot of good points. Just a life change, right? How do you help, or what should parents do in understanding like your life is changing too, right? Your son or daughter is deciding that they're going to dedicate their time and energy and effort to basketball. You have to make that sacrifice, that change, not only financially, right, because it's going to cost money, but also time-wise, right? You got to help them get to the games. You got to, like, what should parents expect from that end based on what you've been through?
So I'm the type of person, when I talk to kids and parents, I ask them a question. Do you like, love, or in love with basketball? And I get a lot of in love. And I said, I'll be able to tell you in a couple of weeks. Because your actions will always tell who you are. They will always. Your actions are going to always tell truly who you are. They're going to tell on you. Because you can tell the kids who are in love with it. They're structured. They're disciplined. Their parents understand their kids' schedule and adjust their schedules. Because this is something their child is, when I say not just in love with basketball, but in high school or grade school, whatever, your grades, all that stuff matters.
Right.
Because you don't make teams or you don't get opportunities if you don't have grades. So those kids who are understand every aspect of that. They understand the people around them, who they socialize with, who they talk to. I've known kids who didn't have girlfriends because they didn't have time for that. Like they tried the dating thing and she would always be calling and why are you going to the gym? Like they ain't had time for that right there because they were trying to accomplish it. Those are the kids who are in love with it. Right. And there's nothing wrong with even if you like it. But as a parent, you better understand what your child is before you restructure your life around that. Because if they don't have any structure in their life for that, then you're wasting your time. And again, for me, it's like, love, and in love. Like that's it. If you're gonna be on my team, I need to know that because I need to know what you're gonna bring to the table as far as effort. Are you gonna be on time? Are you gonna do extra on your time? You know, are you gonna support your team? All that stuff matters. Yeah. And as a parent, like you work all day, you got to pick your child up. The weekends, you're taking them to the gyms, you're doing different things. You may have to get a tutor to help them. You need to know, like, is this just a like it, a love it, or in love situation?
Do you curb your expectations of the player based on that?
No, I push them the same, but I have a realistic approach into what they're telling me and what they're gonna do. Yeah. You know, because if you tell me you like it, I know you're probably gonna be a good teammate. You're gonna support the guys. You're gonna do whatever it takes to be on the team. And you don't.
Ceiling's probably just lower.
Right, or the floor is high.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Right. So, with that being said, like I work with those kids just as hard, and I push them just as hard. But I understand, unless that changes, unless they show me something that changes, not tell me like I don't know how this is gonna go.
So tell me about the relationship where mom or dad loves it more than the kid. How does that conversation go?
That's the Charlie Brown conversation.
Okay.
The Charlie Brown teacher. Whoa, 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 whoa. But every kid in the room understands it. So like when they come to the gym and they'll be talking to their kids and their kid will be walking by me, telling me, God, why don't you just shut up? You know what I'm saying? That's all that kid hears is clean up your room, take out the trash, be on time. I said and then you come in and try to tell them something about basketball. All they hear is won't. That's all they hear from you. They still hear, take out the trash, be on time. Right. Your mama said wash the dish. That's all they hear from you. You can't tell them at basketball at some point because you just over the top with it.
Right.
And they have to go home with you. You in there with your phone talking about, look at this play here.
Right.
Man, nah. That drop, like, you lost that kid. You home doing film with them, and in the same voice you saying, hurry up, clean up that bathroom, do that. Man, they ain't hearing all that. They ain't trying to deal with that. Like, because you do love it more than you're in love with it. They probably just love it and you're pushing them to liking it.
Right.
So you have to understand that, and that's hard to tell a parent that.
Yeah. That it's tough, right? Because you see it, the kid is starting to see it, but the parent is not. So do you pull a parent aside and have the conversation with the parent, or do you have the conversation with the kid and let the kid know, hey, like, you're going to have to step up and talk to your mom or dad and let them know how you really feel about this?
So with me having those conversations in the past, I see it, and I generally will approach the kid or the parent.
Right.
But most of the time, the kid is already up, because by the time they walk by me talking under their breath and rolling their eyes, they'll be like, you see what I'm talking about? You see, I'm tired of this. So, you know what I'm saying? So I know I better have a conversation.
Right.
And you just have to do it. You can't do it in the gym.
Right.
You have to do that stuff, not even on the phone. You got to do it with them in a setting that's non-sports related or basketball related. And you just have to, hey, can we let's go down to the coffee shop.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit, and then you let them know that this is the only reason I'm having this conversation with you is because I'm involved with your child in some way in basketball, and this is what I'm seeing as the coach. From my view of the room, you sitting on this couch, like, you see this room one way. I can go stand over there. We're in the same room, but I see it differently.
Right.
So I have to give them my view from what I'm seeing, and then I try to give them their child's view, because none of us are seeing this room in the same light.
Right. Like, I was just going to ask, is there a line that a player and a parent should draw in terms of, like, all right, you've taken me this far. You brought me to all the rec leagues, all the middle schools, but now in high school, I kind of need you to step back and just be mom or dad.
That goes back to the crossing of paths. Mm-hmm. When you meet people and you bring them into your environment or your life with your child, why? Mm-hmm. If you're the trainer, this is what I want you to train my child in, the jump shot. Mm-hmm. Can you do that? Can you get their jump shot better? Can you keep them to dribble? Can you work on their body? Now that we've accomplished that, what's the next step? Mm-hmm. And you ask that person that, what's the next step for that? And then if they can't give you what you think you should be getting, then they're off the path. And the next person who crosses, you ask the questions and you try to figure it out what the needs are, because it's with kids from high school all the way down, there's so much involved. Yeah. Grades, social environments, social media. The family, social media. I remember I had teams where nobody on the team had a cell phone. A cell phone. All the kids would run down to the business center to get on and go to MySpace in different places. I remember that. Now they're all going, they won't leave the rooms. Right. They're just on the phones and different things, but you have to understand that, like, that's the environment we're in now. But the parent, player, coach, I'm not trying to cross the line to run your household in any way, form, or fashion. Mm-hmm. I'm here for the basketball, and I'm here for your child, and I'm here to answer your questions. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give that to you. But I'm not crossing that line. I'm not going to tell you how to raise your child, no matter what's going on in your household. I'm not doing that, because that's not my house. I don't pay no bills in your house. You don't pay no bills in my house. Right. So, like, why am I telling you that? If I see something that looks like it's going left or something with your child, bad environment, they're into some stuff, I'm going to speak on that. Mm-hmm. But the other stuff I'm not doing.
I mean, listen, I've heard the stories of Coach Tony. You know, back in the day where moms would call you when their sons got in trouble.
Dude, I was the emergency contact for about 5 kids at their schools.
See, so,
They literally.
That line does get blurred sometimes.
But that's our relationship.
Right. Okay.
That's our relationship. You know what I'm saying?
To
Like,
your point, then.
it develops, yes.
But
That's trust. That's honesty.
Right.
That's earned, not given.
Right.
I ain't gonna just meet you today and say your kid's gonna be a pro. By the way, put me down as such and such.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No, heck no. That's earned. That's you know what I'm saying.
Right.
Those relationships, like, nah, dude. Like, I still talk to some of those parents and kids to this day.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't.
And getting into more like of the from high school to college transition, right? Do you have that conversation with kids and parents and letting them know either A, your kid is good enough to play at the Division I level or just any collegiate level, or B, your kid is not that good and he probably should put basketball down and find another hobby?
Pick up a camera.
Because that's what they do today. All right, sorry, edit that out,
No,
please.
I mean, that's fair.
I think so. Once you with me, I'm having constant conversations. You know, with certain kids and certain parents because I understand where they are with it. I already, like some kids, like they going to get 4 years of college, get their degree, and that's it for them in basketball because they get turned off by it. But then you know certain kids and you tell them going into the situation, this is what you have to. Once the questions of like, love, and in love, there's another question that follows that. What do you want from basketball? And the hesitation and pausing, like I've had kids come out and say, I want to be a pro. That's now your level. For me, once you say that, like that's your level, what I'm gonna hold you to. Or if you hesitate, don't really know, I know already. So going back to the college, high school, when you go to college, you have to put the work in yourself because there's only so many hours a week that college people, they don't tell you all this.
Yeah.
College coaches can only spend so many hours a week per game, if I'm not mistaken. But they're developing you for their system.
Right. Not for you as an individual.
No. So that stuff you got to do on your own. I remember going over to NC State. I used to work some kids out of NC State at night. CJ Leslie would be playing full court one-on-one like this. TJ Warren, full court one-on-one, like cross for like an hour against whoever was coming in there with them playing, working themselves into better players with their ball handling, their endurance, because they weren't getting some of that stuff in practice. Practice, you get everything you need in college, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's geared toward the system, not the player. So if you're going to become a better shooter in college, to take more shots, you're going to do that on your time. So now you're on a different schedule. So you got classes and they're chopped up during the week, worked around your nutrition, worked around your weights. Now you got to figure out, well, how do I become a better shooter? I got to get now in the gym. I got access to it.
Right.
I got to get in there. If I got to get stronger, I got to get more time with the weight guy. Your schedule again has changed, but it doesn't involve the parent now. This is all on the player. So when you get to college, like now all this thing, everything that you learn from your parents, your coaches, you got to now put that to work for you.
Right, when nobody tells
Nobody.
Yeah.
That's on you. It's tough. Basketball is tough. Sports is tough.
Right.
It is. And it goes to the guys who put the most work in. It goes to the physically gifted first, then the ones who put the work in. And then it becomes a lifestyle. Like you, I've seen kids go from 11-year-olds to still playing in the NBA. And I've watched their lifestyles change at different levels from elementary school, middle school, high school, college, pro. When you hit pro, now there's a different environment again. It's a ton of work on your time. People don't understand that. For those guys who play 10 plus years or who are constantly all-stars, I ain't talking about superstars. I ain't even talking about the guys who make really the all-star games, but those guys who have those careers, that lifestyle, when you come from college to pro, like that's a big jump. And to stay, you got to jump every year. Every year you're there. And you have to understand, and that's where you really accept roles if you get past college. Right. And you see guys in the NBA now struggling with roles. Yeah. Roles. I'm going to pay you $2 million to do this.
And they like,
You know what I'm saying? People leave McDonald's and Hardee's for more money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you paying 15 or whatever.
Right.
But you in the NBA and you don't want to accept a role and you're making $8 million a year.
Ego.
Yeah. So it is all about constant development. And you see guys who are in the league, you be like, dang, I didn't know he was still in the league.
Yeah.
He accepted his role and he worked in his role. And sometimes your role may be just to be the practice player. And that may be it. But there's a lot of money.
So one more question, then I'm sorry, I'm lying. 2 more questions. So that transition from high school to college, right? Well, it even happens at the AAU level, and you'll see where I'm going with this. But if you're a highly touted kid, you get a lot of people coming at you. You know, come play over here, come play with me, come play with that. Like, is there any advice for parents and how to sift through what's BS and what's really genuine, right? It's just like, I've heard stories about kids getting promised minutes as soon as they get on campus, or AAU teams come play over here and we'll give you all the gear and you're playing every game and blah, blah, blah. Like, how is a parent supposed to guide their child in situations like that where it's really hard to tell who's being honest and who's not?
For AAU, the shoe company sale is huge. Like, that's it. Mm-hmm. To be on the shoe company circuit, to be, like, that is the elite level. For me, it's when people come to your child and always ask them, and they hit you with, I want you to come play with such and such. That's a flag for me. Like, you want my child because you want them to play with somebody.
Like a player.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And especially if it's someone of similar positions. Like, why? I mean, if you got a point guard, they're very similar. Why do you want my child to come play with that person? Because that verbiage kind of sounds like you want my child to play off the ball more to help that child. But you have to be careful. And with the college thing, like, don't be afraid to reach out to players who have transferred. Because the social media thing there is huge. You can track them instantly and be like, hey, I'm thinking that my child's potentially going to this school. Why did you transfer? What happened? And don't be afraid to ask those questions about why kids transfer. And don't be afraid when you have the conversation with coach why you're sending your child there. Not just because it's Carolina, Duke, and they want to be on the team, but like, it's a great university. No, I'm sending my child here because he says he wants to be a pro. Just be honest. He wants to be a pro. Mm-hmm. What can you do in that process? What can you help him with other than give him the platform, the uniform, the develop? Like, what are you doing development wise? Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Now, if it's for a degree, I've got a kid who chose Ivy League school for one reason. He chose the school because it offers a unique major, and he can spend his summers in New York just working with companies and meeting people.
That's great.
That's why he went to the school.
How old is that kid?
He is a sophomore now. Yeah.
But his mindset was like that.
In high school.
That's weird.
Yes.
Like in a great way. But that's very ugly.
But it says a lot about his family. It says a lot about his passion and what he wants to do. Yeah. So, like, I meet kids, like, they'll tell me, I'm looking for
this to
correct. And so you can't get overhyped about certain situations if it's not fulfilling your child's needs. So you have to understand that, like, you got to come to an understanding of really what you want and what you're trying to accomplish.
All right, and you guys just finished tuning into another awesome episode of Parental Advisory with my dope guest, Tony Edwards. You can try to find him on social media. I'm going to try to find him. He don't really be on there like that. But once we find him, we'll put it at the bottom of the screen right here so you can contact him. And you did agree, like, you're open to answer any questions.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So, hit him up, hold him to it. I think he's got a lot of useful knowledge, especially you parents out there. Hit me up too. Again, I'm Ray Maisonet. You can find me at hoopstate_Ray on Instagram and on Twitter. See you next week.